There was a particular dread I began experiencing upon entering my final year of secondary schooling whenever the matter of reading set literature or studying mathematical proofs arose. The dread presented itself as a burning knot in my throat that traveled to a churning solar plexus. I'd developed a habit of neurotically glancing at my timetable. Mathematics and English, my diametrically opposed subjects. Maths, less painful. English, once adored, now a stranger.
We're so often told that maths is just about right answers, as if it's a blank, rigid subject of memorization, devoid of creativity. It's framed as a world of absolutes. One question, one method, one solution. English, on the other hand, is dismissed as fanciful and impractical. When will I ever analyze a line from Shakespeare in real life? Critics often invoke Auden's decontextualized line, "Poetry makes nothing happen," missing the irony that the line is from a poem.
The questions beg at me. When did these subjects fracture? How were they stripped of imaginative joy, transformed into dread, transmogrified into something unsightly? In childhood, they were expansive oak trees, roots full of life, branches forming the foundation of soaring canopies that filtered our view of the universe.
In investigating this dread, I was directed to examine a culture in disarray, one that commodifies learning for economic productivity, siloing once unified disciplines to create pipelines for career and economic growth.
Society mandates standardized exams and schooling league tables, forcibly stripping subjects, English and maths alike, of their playful roots. As we grow taller, the subjects shrink. Creativity is replaced with rigidity, imagination and joy with memorization and punitive pressure. The sprawling oak of knowledge is pruned branch by branch under the weight of a neoliberal logic that exploits learning as a marketable good.
Must we leave behind the roots of imagination to become adults? Or, as Nietzsche said, is this an arbitrary division of life?
Classicists and humanists viewed STEM and the humanities as unified, aspiring to interdisciplinary knowledge in pursuit of the Renaissance homme idéal. As a child, mathematics and English weren't divided but egalitarian partners, both revealing the invisible principles of our universe.
The division and joylessness imposed aren't immutable truths. They're historically contingent. Only with the rise of globalization and industrialized warfare in the 19th and 20th centuries did universities begin siloing disciplines. STEM for manufacturing, humanities for the privileged class of the contemplative. We're taught to shed imagination for rigor, to abandon the joy of sprawling, playful learning in favor of compressed deadlines and marking criteria.
Maybe we haven't outgrown the playfulness of learning. It's just been disguised. We, as custodians of our shared humanity, must cultivate the roots of our imagination in spite of the economic, cultural barriers.
I carried this ethos into my English lesson, seeing its roots intertwined with the broader tree of knowledge. The mathematical derivations I'd studied earlier mirrored the genre conventions, character development, and rhetorical patterns of Shakespeare. We used symbols, variables, settings, and problems, not just to write stories, but to nurture curiosity. The imagination that once built kingdoms now builds elegant proofs. As Prospero conjures storms with language, so too do mathematicians summon storms of symbols, each with unseen structure and intention.
Like children inventing rules for make-believe, I realized that mathematicians craft systems, chasing beauty and discovery, while literary critics weave symbols and subtext into theses that capture the cosmos in a phrase. Perhaps these subjects never left the realm of imagination. They just expanded their languages, multiplying their complexity, waiting beneath the surface for a curious observer who is prepared to cultivate the roots of knowledge as a form of freedom, of play. And so, I invite you, implore you to return to the garden of our shared knowledge and human imagination to tend to its roots with me.
My discursive piece. The Tree of Knowledge, tending to the roots of imagination, explores how the commodification of learning in the contemporary age suppresses humanity's innate imagination and curiosity, inviting readers to reclaim the joy of interdisciplinary learning as a radical, humanizing act. Inspired by the stimulus's emphasis on the arbitrary division of life, and the decentering of play in adulthood, my piece urges readers to contemplate how the neoliberal division of disciplines and commodification of knowledge strips learning of its imaginative, playful roots. Zadie Smith's That Crafty Feeling, its oscillation between personal anecdotes and intertextuality, inspired the piece as personal experiences are connected to broader socio-cultural phenomena to heighten engagement.
Smith's That Crafty Feeling was instrumental in shaping both tone and structure. Through her highly personal yet formal register, you're having a relationship with the reader. It's intimate and personal. I experimented with a personal anecdote. There was a particular dread I began experiencing. By employing subtle humor and alluding to Auden's In Memory of W.B. Yeats, I forge a humorous yet intellectual connection with the reader, creating a dialogue around the irony of a society that uses poetry to critique the superfluousness of the English discipline.
Smith's extended metaphor of writing as building a house influenced my structural decision to transform the stimulus into a cyclical extended metaphor of the oak tree. The initial image, expansive oak tree, roots full of life, soaring canopies that filtered our view of the universe, draws on poetic imagery to symbolize the unbounded joy of childhood learning and evoke the imaginative beauty of knowledge. The gradual destruction of the tree, pruned branch by branch, represents the neoliberal commodification of learning as a process that stunts curiosity. Here readers witness the suppression of our natural instinct for imaginative learning, invoking a sense of loss as educational commodification becomes tangible. By emulating rhetorical writers like Nietzsche, who use universal language to inspire insight, the high modality in my conclusion, we as custodians of our shared humanity must cultivate the roots of our imagination, offers readers a hopeful perspective, while the collective language engenders shared responsibility and moral urgency, fulfilling my purpose of inviting readers to resist the commodification of knowledge and reclaim the joy of interdisciplinary learning as a radical, humanizing act.